humiliation and violence inflicted on black Americans was mirrored in Africa. At the end of the 19th century, as Europe's powers scrambled for control of the continent's riches, the rights of the indigenous peoples were no impediment to their plans for conquest.
The attitude of white people in all Europe was tabula rasa, terra incognita. Here is a place which is a sort of no man's land. In other words, we can create our own states there, and we're going to bring order and civilize them. Always the word civilize was used. Whatever you were actually doing, whether you were shooting them, you were civilizing them. The vast majority of people thought they would need, at best, a paternalistic treatment, that they would need looking after, like children.
After the Conference of Berlin in 1885, Europeans embarked on a continent-wide land grab. In less than 20 years, 90% of African territory would be placed under European colonial rule. One of the main beneficiaries was King Leopold II of Belgium. Aware of the vast fortune to be made, he persuaded Europe's powers to recognize his sovereignty over one of Africa's largest regions, the Congo.
Here was this man who became King of Belgium in 1865 at the age of 30. Enormously shrewd, enormously greedy, enormously ambitious, and with an absolutely brilliant sense of public relations. He hired the explorer Henry Morton Stanley, the man who found Livingstone, to go to the Congo and essentially stake out this huge territory for him. Leopold got first the United States and then all the major nations of Western Europe to ratify his seizure of this enormous territory in the center of the continent.
First, Leopold created a smokescreen, claiming that he wished to educate a savage people.
They were all really fooled by Leopold because they took him at his word. They thought he was a sort of a man who's going to lose all his money in this crazy philanthropic venture. But they didn't realize what he was really after at all, which was to make himself hugely rich by exploiting brown hands and broad backs who were going to carry the wealth of Africa and load it on ships for his own personal profit.
What it says on this 1588 map, the year 1588, Africa Tablia. Let's scroll down to where that would be. So here we have, let's point out some of the areas here. This is written in Latin, as you can see, by the way. So here we see the Jalufa, the land of the Jalus or the Walus. We have Guinea. We have Benin, and this is in Latin, Benin's reign, or their kingdom of Benin. But now let's go over to this area that was called Darnuba, right in this area here. And here we have this area, notice this, friends, written in Latin. JUDEANS, TERRA. So, what does this mean? Let's translate that. Look what it says. There's the Latin. There's the English. That's what this means. The land of the Jews. Man, it's deep, man. Every time I look at this, man, I get so emotional. So deep. And there it is. In the year 1588, in the 1500s. It's deep, family. It's deep, friends. It's deep. It's right there. And you know what else is so deep about this, brothers and sisters? And this map was of that same area. This is a map of the Congo region here, right there in Central Africa. Here's all over here would be where, as you can see on here, this would be where Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, Sierra Leone, all those areas. But then when you come down into this curve, here you're right in the same area. And look at that, Congo, Angola. And this was where many of the enslaved were taken from their villages, put on the slave ships.
Zephaniah